Straight up gems.
It's a hard rock life. Work it out, yeah, yeah. Work it out like a gym. GEMS. Growing emotionally, yeah. Mentally, spiritually.
Welcome to another episode of the Straight Up Gems podcast.
Yeah.
I am Felicia Dunn.
I'm Marianne Reyes.
And we are your hosts, your two favorite Capricorns. And so, but before we get into what today's topic is, actually wanted to check in with each other because, as women, sometimes we don't really check in and just really be honest about where we are. So how is your heart, Ime?
Oh, heart check 1 2
Yes.
1 2.
Heart check for sure.
How is my heart? See, first of all, I love that. Thank you. She
You're
is
welcome.
queen of a for real checkup, not one of those, hey, how you doing? Move along. This is why I keep her around. So
Glad I can be kept around.
I'm just kidding. Honestly, I was looking forward to this because I need to vent.
Yeah.
Girl,
What happened?
this past couple weeks have been crazy.
Really?
I think I have been just saying yes, yes, yes because I want to see and make things happen. I know I can do it. And it has been it was my first time last night to sleep on my bed.
Oh, wow.
I work on the couch.
Yeah.
So I take a nap on the couch.
And then end up the next day on
And
the
there
couch.
is no sleep. It's just
Right.
work, nap, work, nap, work, nap, work, nap.
Wow.
It's just I'm falling asleep. Oh, let me get back to work. I'm falling asleep. Oh, let me get back to work. For
Jesus.
a whole week. And finally, I slept on the bed last night, and I totally missed the meeting this morning. I totally missed
See?
an alarm. It was so bad. But that's when I realized, ooh, I got to slow down. I got to,
Yeah.
voice something out. So in the meeting, I actually said, guys, I think I need a release from certain things that
Yeah.
I'm doing right now.
Yeah. So speaking of what you're talking about, do you feel like you say yes to things because you want to be the person that gets the affirmation from it? Or why do you say yes to everything when you know that it's okay, I can only handle so much,
Right.
honestly?
See, I think that's the part I don't know. Because young Marianne, young MA, back in college, she did the most.
Yeah. Yeah. But was it healthy?
And no.
Okay. See?
But it got me into this mindset that I am superwoman. If I can do it, yeah, I'm gonna just do it. I'm not gonna wait for nobody.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Taking the initiative.
Yeah, that's how I am. It's oh yeah, I could do that. I'll do it. Don't worry about it.
Right.
And then next thing you know, my plate is just full. And I'm getting it done, but man, where's my life?
Right.
I went to go
exactly.
get my nails done. Hey, I got my
Thank
nails done. But that was I sat down for that hour, and while she was at the end, they massage your hands.
Yeah.
I was
He's
oh
this is
my God,
amazing.
thank you. Can this last for an hour?
Well, knowing that there's going to be weeks where it's overwhelming and super busy. Because I know one thing for myself, sometimes when it's so much going on, I have to stop in the sense of if I automatically have a negative thought or say something negative about how I'm feeling in that moment, I have to try to catch myself really quickly, and then I remind myself this is the life that I pray for, in a sense of knowing that there's going to be a demand on my life one day, really soon. So if I can't even handle the little day to day, it's well, how can you handle the influence that I'm about to put on you, and having to know that you're gonna be needed in so many places, in so many areas, but also still being aware okay, some stuff I'm not gonna be able to do, and some stuff I can.
That balance.
So yeah.
For sure. Because, I think that's part of, subconsciously, that's partially why I accept things and say yes, 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 because I know, this is what I wanted. I'm in position to do this. So if this is the workload, sign me up. I'm happy in the beginning.
It's always good at the beginning. You're yeah, this is great. Got this new position. It's going to be popping. And then it's no, I done popped. Whoa. I done popped.
But the hard part was actually checking myself and humbling myself to come forward and asking to be released from certain things. This workload is a lot. And just humbling myself to know that, no, I'm not. I'm great, but I'm not the superwoman back in college anymore.
And that's okay, though. And that's okay. That is okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
How is your heart, sis?
This week has been kind of weird too, because like when it's like the start of a month, you're like, you think that it's kind of like visually speaking, like you're at the starting line and then like the gun goes off for you to start the race and you realize your shoe's not tied. That's how I felt this week. It's like we're in this first week of the new month and I felt like I was like, ready, like, okay, yeah, we're going into March, January, February was popping with my business. And then it's like day by day, I'm like, I don't feel like I did anything today, or I didn't feel like I got anything done that I wanted to do. But I am like focusing more on just allowing the Holy Spirit to lead me like moment by moment and not sticking to what I think I have to do and be okay with the feeling of you got done what you were supposed to get done.
Yeah.
And if that was nothing, it was supposed to be nothing.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of how I felt this week. It's like, wow, we're in the first week of the third month of this first quarter. But it's like, I thought I was going to be doing all of these things. But in reality, it was like, no, let's just move at the pace of grace. Yeah. Whatever's supposed to happen is going to happen.
That's good.
And it was okay.
Really good.
Yeah.
I like how, like, you identify, like, you're aware of it. But at the same time, it's like, I'm not going to stress about it.
Right.
Like me, when I miss deadlines, if I miss a deadline or if I'm like, dang, I'm supposed to do that, I get this like little cloud like following me for a moment until I get that revelation like, yo, if it didn't happen, it didn't happen for a reason. Yeah. That's good.
Yeah, for sure.
I need to be quicker with that.
But it's all growing. You know what I mean? Like, sure. I wasn't always like this. It's just to be aware, but I just know like the difference of how I used to be. And that was stressful being that woman. God. It's like, ooh, I don't want that. Yeah. She gave me a headache. Okay. So now it's just like, I'm good. And I think that's all like goes into when you know who's in control of your life.
Yes.
And so, that's just how it is.
That's good.
Yeah. And getting into like today's topic, talking about like insecurities. Talking about insecurities and how insecurities can definitely be like a hard rock in life. You know what I mean? Insecurities when it comes to relationships, when it comes to work life, when it comes to, loving relationships, when it comes to you just being aware of yourself. Like for you, where do you think you have dealt with the hardest time of being insecure, if you ever were? And then how did you take that space in your life or that time in your life to really reflect to get to the other side of that? And what does the other side of insecurity even look like?
I want to say like when I was younger, definitely the teenage years, high school years, college even, shoot. Let me be real, maybe even like in early 20s, like it was heavy. I think it was more heavy because I was in a comparison. I looked up to so many people and it was like, I love that he does this. She does this. Right. This is great. I want to be like this. Instead of having that role model, like, inspired to, do X, Y, and Z, like the people that I looked up to, it brought in insecurities when I couldn't level myself up to what
they were doing.
Yeah, it was like,
that's interesting.
Like it would make me not want to speak up if I feel like I didn't carry that same charisma.
Got it.
It made me not want to like even network. Like I think the speaking up thing, like socializing. So kind of like silence you in a way. Yeah, I'm introvert, right? That's the word.
Are you really an introvert?
I am. But for the people who like step across that, that boundary that I'm or whatever, that wall and into my bubble, then they're probably like, you ain't no introvert.
That's what I'm like, introvert where? Like since when?
But man, especially back then, like I would be so to myself. I'd be scared to like talk to new people. Yeah.
So where do you think that came from? Because a lot of times we deal with insecurities that we don't even know, like we don't even take the time to think about like, well, where did that come from? Like, why am I so insecure in this area? So do you think that it came a lot from like childhood?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's this thing. Oh Lord, see, I told myself we ain't crying today.
Hey, this is Straight Up Gems podcast, okay? We get real and we keep it transparent. So if you need to shed a thug tear, shed your tears.
I'm going to do it on this side so you can't see
so
it
you
on
can't
the
see
camera.
Y'all be looking for the tear for those who are watching.
But for real, like, there's something that happened when I was a child. I'm not going to get too much into detail. Mm-hmm. But I noticed that root affects a lot of the things.
Yeah.
Like
that shows up.
Yeah, that shows up. And it's not something, it's one of those things where it was like, you know, you think that if you forget it or it's not in your mind, it's fine. Mm-hmm. But it has already taken root in a lot of things that you do. From, I mean, when I was a baby all the way till a certain point.
Right.
Yeah, that effect on me. One day in an episode when I'm ready,
you'll be able to really
know?
So how did you take that time in your life as an adult to then change that hard rock of insecurities to a gem? Like, what was it that you learned about yourself?
Oh man. So, gems is growing emotionally, mentally, spiritually.
Right.
And I'm about to hit you with the spiritually.
Okay, let's go. Hit me with it.
Because this is exactly how it happened. I was going through this time, like, in relationship with the Lord, like, really seeking God and, like, growing in my faith. And I was just like, I'm cutting everything off. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if X, Y, and Z is right or wrong. It was that mindset, thinking like, oh, what is right and wrong? Right. Which is not a good mindset. But yeah, so I would bring up a lot of things to God and like, is this right? Should I stop doing this? Blah, blah, blah. And I like, just in case, if I didn't get an answer, I just would stop.
Yeah, altogether.
That was like industry stuff. Mm-hmm. That I stopped auditioning. I stopped everything because I wasn't sure. Yeah. And I didn't want to move forward unless I'm 100% sure, right? So there's this phase going on like that. And finally, after maybe like a week, I'd say I cut out a lot of things. I'm feeling like an angel. I feel like I'm perfect. Like, yeah. And then so now I'm reflecting like, okay, why isn't my life reflecting this? Why am I still broke? Like, what's happening?
Where's the abundance, Jesus?
Yeah. So I brought it up to God and I was like, listen, like, I
What's
thought,
up?
what happened to the promises of the abundance?
Right.
And I go to sleep. And I asked him, I said, if there's anything that I'm not getting, if I have to work on something else, like, please show me. Right. I went to sleep that day, and I don't even usually hear from God in my dreams. Like, there's a lot of people who do that. Yeah. But, yeah, totally. Through dreams, just showing me how much of a monster I actually am inside.
Whoa. But see, it's the heart check. But the fact that you were able to actually ask the question. So for people out there, maybe you don't believe in God, or you have some other type of spiritual being that you do believe in. But just like what Marianne said, just being aware to ask yourself the questions, because the universe or God, whatever it is, to be aware that you can get answers.
Exactly. And from that, he revealed like just how I am like with people and stuff like that blocker. Mm-hmm. And I came up to him and I was like, I've never, because of what happened to me when I was a child, I never had that innocent, like, oh, run up to a stranger and hug you. I see my niece do this all the time. Like, just love and bubbly and fun, smiles. I have never had that experience. And that was the reason why I'm so insecure with people growing up.
Got it.
I just never had that. The next day, we had that heart-to-heart. God and I are in a conversation. Next day, I'm hugging everybody.
Well, see, but you implement it, though.
What? Like, literally just becoming aware of it. Yeah. And giving it to God. Like, I don't know how to whatever, but this is deep in my heart. Like, this realization, can you help me? Mm-hmm.
That's good.
And then, like... I'm a hugger.
Come on, hugger.
I was driving Uber for a while. This was during that phase. Yeah. When I was driving Uber, I used to hug my passengers before they leave.
Really? Wow. Well, you were reaching behind and like, give me a hug. Come up here.
Like, bye, nice talking to you.
Right. That's
Talk
funny.
to you later. Like, no, I won't.
Oh, God. I was in those Uber streets myself, so I remember for sure. But that's good. So you kind of turned it into your gym by asking the questions.
Yeah, becoming aware,
and then waiting for the answer. Yep. And then automatically implementing.
Yeah.
That's another thing. So that's good because implement
that was
what you need to learn.
A heart change.
Yeah.
I didn't like force myself to. It was for some reason that like insecurity was gone.
Yeah.
It was like I'm no longer scared to talk to a stranger or to emote, you know, be vulnerable with someone and love on someone that I don't know or whatever. So
that's good.
Yeah, man.
Come on. Lessons learned.
Okay.
Lessons learned.
I want to hear. Okay, so we're talking about this hard rock insecurities. Right. Man, I took you through a journey.
Yeah.
Now I know, because off of this podcast, side conversations, we've been having a lot of.
Yeah.
I want to see what you're gonna put on the table regarding insecurity.
As far as like insecurities, like I would say for me, like younger years, like younger me, I would say my insecurity might have come in the form of, I guess, sometimes my ability, if that makes any sense. Because, like, I played basketball all throughout high school. And the other girls on my team were, like, really good. And I'm, like, just really fast. And so my defense was, like, tight, you know? But as far as, like, shooting the ball, it wasn't that I was a bad shooter. I just didn't take the shots, basically. Yeah. And so for me, it was more so I think I would beat myself up more than anybody else could. You know what I mean? Like those, like, nah, I could talk down to myself before you can. You know what I mean? And I think when it came to like my abilities for basketball, because that's what I started, you know, speaking about, I didn't really practice though. You know, like I practiced, but I was the person who was like, okay, well, I'm just good at it, so why do I need to go so hard? And that was kind of like me. And then when it came to like my sister, she just being like the most popular girl in school, and I'm the little sister, so everybody just called me her little sister instead of your name. And you're like, wait a minute, I have a whole name. And so that kind of like was like little seeds there. When it comes to like my sister going off to, like, she played basketball and then going off to college, she was like the queen of her school, and she was in a sorority, and she was a president, and she was a part of the golf club. I'm like, this girl do everything. And so my insecurity when it came to like men, it was kind of like I had such a tight relationship with my dad. I felt in my mind I didn't need a guy. But then I think that kind of like those seeds of being insecure when it came to like people of the opposite sex, it was kind of, well, maybe I'm too small. I'm too little. I'm too short. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I'm too dark. And so I think those played like minor roles in my life, to where I've always been so focused on what I wanted to do that I never included anybody else in my experience, especially somebody of the opposite sex. I'm like, I don't need you. I got a daddy. Hello. And we're good. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's interesting in retrospect now that I think about it, because I'm really not an insecure person, like at all. I think it kind of but I think it kind of shows up in that no need for anybody. Yeah. And that could be a form of being insecure or having those blind spots that you don't even think about. And so I think that's what it is for me growing up. And I think like now, as far as like being able to deal with it, it's, especially, you know, since my dad passed away, it definitely is more so like, okay, I am good enough. You know, I can be great. I can, you know, take the gifts that I have and like work on them, and those make me unique. Because another thing, it was kind of like, especially moving to California, everybody and their mom does what you do. So there was like some insecurities coming to LA because it's like you're so grand and so great in your own town, and then you get to a bigger city and you're like a small fish in a big pond, and you're like, oh, these people swimming fast. Like I done seen woo, and you going and da 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 da, and how the industry makes you think that it's about the outside. And so that kind of started building little insecurities in me, because I'm like, well, I know I'm good at dancing, but then I go to these dance classes and these chicks is like twirling and doing splits and dancing in heels. I'm like, I only dance in Jordans. Like, what's going on? Like, how are you doing this? And so those planted like small insecurities, like, and it's more so on that being good enough. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I know I'm dope, but then I started to play in my mind well, maybe I'm not. Like, it's never anybody had to say anything to me. It's me against me. And so those are some things that I needed to kind of like really check my self-talk. Because that was like what I learned in that. It's like, okay, well, what are you saying to yourself? Because it's not what other people say to me. Like, I don't, in a sense, it's like, I'm not worried about other people. Yeah. But for me, it's more so how I talk to myself and making sure I am checking myself. Like, okay, well, why do you think that about you? You know what I mean? Like, why do you think that, you know, you're too short to do X, Y, and Z? Why do you think that, you know, you can't play a lead because you don't got big boobs? But who cares? You know what I mean? So it's like all of those things. I think my insecurities came more so in a sense of me being hard on me. Yeah. Not really other people. Because nothing really, to me, I guess, super traumatic that has happened. Actually, a story just popped in my mind. Holy Spirit. Okay, I'm going to take y'all there really quick. So my sister and I, we were young. We were at my friend's house in middle school, and my sister and I were like fighting in my friend's house, just ghetto, y'all, like fighting in somebody else's house, right? So we're fighting or whatever, and I'm like on top of my sister, and I'm like hitting her or whatever.
Oh, we're fighting.
No, we're fighting, okay. Yeah. And then so she like is trying to get up, and so she like bows me, but she bows me in my mouth, and then like my lips split on my teeth, and the call to my mom, had to go to the hospital and had to get stitches. And so because I had to get stitches in my lip, that was the moment to where I had an insecurity about the way that I looked. Because what I did for a living, which was, or what I wanted to do at that time for a living, was to be an actress. And I'm like, I can't be on TV because I have a scar on my lip.
Oh my God, how old were you?
I was, in middle school? So probably like 13, 14 maybe.
Dang.
Yeah, and then like now I ended up, you know, getting it fixed even more because it left a scar, but then I got it fixed again living here in LA. And I think the moment I took the attachment off of that, like what does it look like to other people, I began to really like own just my being, like my essence. Like you look at Sanaa Lathan, she has a scar on her cheek. Like you look at, like just seeing other people with flaws, basically. Like we're not perfect. And I think that because it was like physical to my appearance, I think that made me insecure in some ways.
Yeah,
for
that's
sure.
A biggie. That's a biggie that I'm sure everybody. That's a hard rock.
Yeah.
Because you see these models, especially if you're in the industry. Like,
right.
I definitely dealt with that. Even just being Filipino, like my Filipino features, like my nose, or lack thereof, which I actually love now. Okay, so anyway.
Yeah, physical appearance can definitely create insecurities with people. And I'm sure we're not the only people that go through that.
And then like my brothers, having older brothers, you grow up with older brothers, you know everything wrong about you.
Right. Because they're going to say it. They're going to be like, ooh, you look like you look a little thick.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I understand.
Everything, man. I know. And that's probably a bigger thing, too, as far as physical appearance insecurities came from that. Yeah. Shout out to my brothers. I love y'all anyway.
Anyway. We love you anyway. Yeah.
But yeah, like I was gonna say, like, you were naming like too short, too
all the stuff,
too small, too dark. Like those are huge rocks to be like dealing with.
Right.
So just to recap, like the way that you turned that into a gem. Yeah. You really like, how do you say it? The self-talk.
Yes. Ooh, the self-talk
really
was like number one
on that, man. She's great.
Self-talk
the affirmations.
For sure.
Yeah,
because it's like innately inside of me, I already know that I'm great. Like I don't know, since I was young, I've always had like this big person on the inside of me. Yeah. Now knowing now with my relationship, it's like this is the God in me. But I always felt that, and so I always wanted, like you were saying, like when you're like, God, wait a minute, what happened to the promises? Right. Because it's like I always have this conversation with God. I'm like, God, bring out the bigness that's in me out. Out. That's what I want. And so to have the positive self-talk and that being the gym that like turned the insecurity around, it's like being kind to myself. Because if I'm not kind to myself, then I'm not going to be kind to somebody else. Yeah. You know what I mean? So if I'm talking bad about myself, then I'm going to talk bad about you because I'm just reflecting how I feel about myself to you. And so that was really big. like the positive self-talk. Like I will say an affirmation so fast.
Yeah.
Like with the quickness.
She got affirmations in her pocket, yo.
Yes.
Like,
I love it.
Pull it like
one of them, since we're talking, I will say an affirmation you guys can write down. It's I always say to myself, everywhere my feet may tread, all of heaven shows up because where I am, God is.
That's good.
And I say it all the time.
Hey, can we say that one more time? Maybe we'll take it slow because I'm going to pocket that in my head in this corner right here.
So everywhere my feet may tread, all of heaven shows up because where I am, God is.
Yeah.
So then you can just be in spaces with confidence. Like you're not by yourself. You know what I mean? Like if God be for me, who can be against me? Nobody.
Right.
So it's kind of like you don't have to live your life by yourself, basically.
Man, that's good. Oh, I'm taking that. I'm writing that. Got my notebook right here.
Write it down. No, I'm kidding.
Now I'm going to write that down for sure. That's a good one, especially dealing with insecurities. Taking it in a practical sense, like that's it right there. Mm-hmm. You know, affirmation, self-talk, people say it all the time, but that really is a big key. Yeah. You know, that affirmation in particular.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. If you guys are dealing with like any insecurities, like we really want to, you know, just partner with you and just building a community of sisterhood. So you guys can definitely like email us at info@straightupgemspod.com. It's pod, right?
Yep. I knew you was going to ask me that.
See, I was going to ask her. Fresh email, guys. So info@straightupgemspod.com. And we want to hear your stories. Like we really want to hear your stories. We want to be able to, you know, share what information that we have with you guys and just, you know, build a community and be there for one another.
Yeah, from our heart checks to like our actual topic of the day, like anything. Like if you had the same kind of week like me, maybe we can turn that into an episode. You know?
Exactly. Because we all need help.
Let's really talk about it.
For real. That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dang, y'all got a few gems.
Yeah. Come on. And you can always play it back. You can always play it back. Mm-hmm. So
you got a hard rock. You got some, what do you call that? Arsenal.
Yeah.
For it. To turn it into a gem.
Turn it to a gem and work it out. Work it out. Until next time. Thank you so much for listening to your two favorite Capricorns. I'm Felicia P.D. Dunn.
And I'm Marianne M.A. Reyes. Be sure to rate, leave a review, and subscribe to our show.
You can connect with us on socials at Straight Up Gems.
Or email us at info@straightupgemspod.com.
Until next time, we love you, sugar.